Episode 147 of the BIC podcast. It is the end of September, which means October approacheth. Spooky season is around the corner. This episode is going to be a little bit light on the news, although we'll have a little bit of fun with the news story. Brandon has got it. He's going to regale us with a tale during the pickup segment. We've got Silly Card of the Week. We got your comments. We got all kinds of fun stuff, the usual things. And we're going to talk nothing about truth and all about reconciliation. That and more on this episode of the BIC podcast. Yes, I definitely didn't change headgear between the beginning of that clip and the end of that clip. Baseball! Let's go! Eric is enthused. That's all I'm saying. So just real quick, I'll mention it off the top, and we can always revisit it after. It was I was laughing because Sunday was funny for me. It was it was the best of times, it was the blurst of times. I laughed because it started off earlier in the day with the Jays clinching their first division title since 2015 and only second since 93. Not a big thrilled about that, but it is what it is. That is reality. So regardless, they were in the playoffs, but from a personal standpoint, given how few division titles they win at this point, I was like, please just do it for me. Don't do it for yourselves. Do it for me, because I'm not getting younger. 93, I was 10. This is only 2 division titles since then. I'm 42, guys. Get on with it. I don't have another. Hey, Eric, I don't have another decade. I'm not a Boston Bruins fan. I'm not accustomed to endless failure, century after century, decade after decade, millennia after millennia, with only Hal fucking Gill to save me. It doesn't work that way, man. I gotta have what we have. So I did. So this I already had, but I did splurge, and I've received notification that this is the best part, Brandon. This is how genius our friends at MLB are. So they've got the postseason hats, they've got the division winner hats. So I did order one of those division winner hats. Overpriced as that shit is, way overpriced that shit is, like ridiculously overpriced. But they also have the postseason cap, right? With the postseason emblem on the side of it. But here's the thing: out of all the different designs they have, Brandon, they put the postseason cap on this identical hat. So I'm gonna have 2 copies of this hat, one that has the patch on the side of it and one that doesn't. I'm just sitting there going like, you guys could pick one of the other. There's a couple of designs. You got like 3 designs. You could have put it on one of the other ones. You lazy bastards. You're literally just slapping the postseason thing on the side of it. This is what happens when the Fanatics Overlords are in charge of all the merchandise.
Yeah. Speaking of the Fanatics Overlords and merchandise, and I just want to say, so it'll tie in a little bit with what I'm going to share later. But we went into the team store when we first got to the ballpark yesterday. And first of all, there is a lot less merchandise in there than it used to be. That was the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed was the price tags on it all. A lot less merchandise, a lot more expensive. And you used to be able to buy game used stuff there. Like they would have these mystery bags that might have a jersey or a ball or whatever in it that were game used. You didn't know who it was, but they were relatively cheap and fun. I seen 3 game used jerseys available, all with a sheet of paper talking about the jersey and with a big Fanatics logo at the bottom of each sheet of paper. Anyone want to take a guess how much these jerseys were? One was C.J. Abrams. One was Patrick Corbin. The third one, I think it was Riley Adams.
Okay,
if I remember.
So what? So sorry, are these game used here?
They are game used, yes.
$400.
You going 400, Eric?
That's my number.
Try $3,500.
Oh, they can just
that is marginally higher than $400.
Yeah, they can jump off.
$3,500.
Yeah, no, they could just go right ahead and dive right off.
Now, your 400 price, that would only get you 2 of the jerseys off of the rack that are.
So Brandon, that's actually how I came up with that number. I'm sitting there going like, generic names. I'll put a multiple on like the off the rack because that's about what that's worth to me as a person. Yeah. Now, so this segment is brought to us by this.
Well, guess what? Because you're poor.
And smart. Because there's no way in hell I'm paying $3,500 for one of them.
Well, I don't know. We got big old spender there, Eric over there. He's just waltzing in. Maybe he looks at that. He says $3,500. See, there's production values for y'all. Production values today. Big time.
Anyways, yeah, I thought I would share that because that was
That's a smidgen higher. That's a smidgen higher. Usually, my indicator of inflation, jokes aside, is I look at like these fitted caps because I used to. This is years and years and years ago. I used to get these for like $35, $40. $35, $40. No, it's not cheap, by the way. Like, you know, it's
they're
still
about
expensive.
60 now.
Yeah, exactly. So like you have to kind of think like, ooh, like for one, you get one.
Yeah. Nope.
Ooh. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, I don't want to talk about how much money I spent on, like I said, just the 2 caps that I bought for the postseason thing, because Eric, I'm not here to talk about the past.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I am not here to talk about the past. That money's already been spent, Eric. It's already done. It's already over. I'm not here to talk about the past.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Can we ask a question then? If you're not going to talk about the past, can we ask a question for the future?
Sure. I'm loyal to my future, not my past, Brandon.
The prices now, are you cheering for them to continue on so you can add to that collection?
Brandon, yeah, I've said this previously. I am prepared to bankrupt Eric with the like button if the Jays get to the World Series.
All right, there we go. Just make it
no cost is too great. On a related note, Eric, you'll be getting a memo about the like button in short order.
Oh,
how would the city of Toronto act if they actually had a team be successful in the playoffs?
Brandon, we literally had this like in 2019 with the Raptors. They'll have a parade. They did this already.
Oh, the Raptors. Well, we went basketball there.
Yeah, okay. but like at this, I'll be honest with you, at this point it would be almost identical. Like it'd be basically the same. Like the amount of fans, there is a youths. I would say the youths are more basketball fans than they are baseball fans.
Yeah,
there's still a good contingent, and like the dome now with they've redone the inside of it. It looks nice, and they're getting. Remember the old dome, like capacity was almost 50,000. With the way they've redone the seat configuration, a sellout is like 42 and change. They were getting sellouts down the stretch, and the tickets are way more expensive. The food's way more expensive, so like they're making more money for that 42,000 than they were with the old 50,000. So, and back in when I was a kid, the Jays were selling out the dome with 50,000. They were the first major league team to get 4 million fans through the turnstiles. So there is an audience there, but again, now we've gotten older. So like if the people that remember the World Series years, if you were like 10 years old, now you're in your 40s. So you probably have kids of your own, and they don't remember the Jays being that good because it's been 30 years. So it's like it's that's the way it works. If a team has been okay but not great, but all you got to do is look over the other side, over the arena. The Leafs haven't won a damn thing since. So you basically have to be a grandfather to remember the Leafs winning anything. It doesn't seem to matter, and their ticket prices are even more astronomical.
If Eric wouldn't have rooted for them, they might have been.
Yeah, might have been. So like what you're talking about, Brandon, about the merch and how expensive it's going to be. Basically, when I'm adjusting the like button rate, basically all I have to do is adjust the like button rate for if the Jays get to the World Series and I have to buy all that merch. I adjust the like button rate to the rate it would be if I was a Leaf fan and if I just needed regular season Leafs tickets. It's about the same. It's about how much it'll cost.
Gotcha.
So that's basically how that works. It's like, and the Leafs don't win a damn thing, and it still costs that much. They can still sell it. They get the corporate people to buy it. But anyway, all right. And then the other half of it, like I said, the best of times, worst of times. 40 to 40 tie. I'm not here to talk about the past. Brandon asked me, he goes, "Can we talk about the Ravens?" And I said, "Brandon, no. We cannot talk about the past. We need to move on. We need to be loyal to our future, Eric, not our past.
Can I be
we need to be loyal to our future."
Honest? I had such a good day yesterday. I don't even know what the score of the game was or what happened. I've seen something about Lamar had a hamstring injury and a couple other players got hurt. I don't know what the score of the game. I know they lost. They lost. We're 1-3, whatever. Yep. But I had a good day yesterday, and it didn't bother me. Whatever.
Brandon, it's probably for the best. If you want to visualize what it looked like, it basically looks like Eric after a particularly vigorous bike ride where he didn't watch out for that tree.
Hmm.
That's basically what happened.
It's all right.
Those are bad days. I don't like those days at all.
Indeed. So we'll move on. We got other things we want to talk about here. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about some comments from last week. So good comments. Appreciate the engagement as always. I was hoping for a little bit more, though. A couple of people did actually take up my challenge. I was curious about what you consider to be a holy grail or a hobby grail. That's kind of what I want. A few people did touch on that, so I appreciate that. But I was kind of, that's an opportunity. That's a prompt for you guys to kind of give your own definitions or your own thoughts on it. A few people did, so I appreciate that. So real quick, for comments from last week here. So first one was Oren Cards saying bravo, so appreciate that. Thank you for that. Let me make sure I've got them all filtered as well. All right. As well, we got Zach here, says, I guess a grail for me would be a super expensive card or just a really rare card. For me, I have neither. There's multi-$1,000 cards I want, and I'll buy one day. But to be a grail, you have to pursue or hunt for it. It is hard for me to say, a grail is a T206 Honus Wagner, for example, because I'll never realistically own it. Or if I did have millions of dollars, there's so many more cards that mean more to me. So there's no pursuit for a T206 Wagner. A card like that is a hobby grail, yes, but my grail, no. Which is fair. You made a distinction between a hobby grail and your personal grail, which is completely fine. I totally get that. Bob Boozle here, chiming in, says, I associate Grail with Holy Grail, which I believe is a T206 Honus Wagner. So now, opposite sides of the equation here. Him having a hissy fit over the baseball card created is something rare and is an important early set. Outside of that, I have an ever-growing want list, emphasis, of mass-produced cards. Nothing sacred or rare. I agree with Bobbles about a lot of cards being iconic, not rare, kind of playing into what we were talking about there. Cards were produced for the masses to enjoy. Even if something is rare, doesn't mean it's iconic or desirable enough to break auction house records. Fair points. And then Bob Boozle also commented on the autograph turnbuckle is a unique showpiece. Autographs look really great on it. I agree. I did enjoy that autograph turnbuckle, so I think it worked out well. Baz here has, cheers, fellas. Good episode as always. Bobbles broke an American record for getting his 24th 10-year passport. The first three were carved out of rock in the late 1700s, followed by a few written on parchment, and now into the modern era. His picture was extended to fit the beard in. Funny you mentioned that, Baz. We're going to take a moment. Now is an appropriate moment for us to take a quick moment to look at a picture and discuss it briefly. And then we'll come back to the rest of your comments.
That I willfully shared.
He did. But I think it fits perfectly here. So here is an iconic piece. You want to talk about icons? This right here is an icon.
We got the America flag.
Yep, we got the America. So we got that here. So this is actually the image that Brandon has on his passport. And all I could think about when he presented this to us was the person who took the picture has a sense of humor. They understood the assignment. They're like, yes. No, this is the Eric, they're an artiste. An artiste.
Yes.
This is contemporary art right here. It really is.
Hey, and we also learned that AI said I was famous.
Yes.
It identified me as being famous.
Because you look like superstar Billy Graham.
Well, the AI gave him, what was it, a poet or something? I can't remember what it was. It was
some esteemed American poet.
Yes, but from what era, Brandon?
The late 1800s.
There you go. It all comes together. See, Baz? It all comes together. Couldn't have written it up better. There you go. All right. Thank you for the comment. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC here, rounding it out, says, at some point, the BIC crew is going to have to engage in an intervention and mercifully tell Eric that the Bobby Hall rookie story is just a fever dream caused by years of blows to the head. Now, I did have a response to this. I said, what's worse, Dan, is that he believes Bobby Hall is Bobby Orr. Sacrilege in the land of Massachusetts. Dan from Saugus would never. Because Dan was talking about your Bobby Orr rookie that you were showing. And that's how bad it is. Bobby Orr, Bobby Hall, Dan from Saugus, it's all the same. Scandalous.
I have to get, maybe this November. Maybe this November I'll come home with a Bobby Hull rookie, but I don't have one. I'd like one. Maybe
Are you waiting for a generous benefactor again?
I start dropping breadcrumbs, see who picks them up.
See, Brandon, this is how you actually get cards in the hobby. You're like, hey, you know, be really swell. You know, be really awesome. You know, be really keen. That was Eric before he got a Bobby Orr. You know, be really keen. You know, be really swell. Wow.
Let me hang these Bruins.
Interesting how that works out. All right.
I commented on an Instagram post about his changing of fandoms here. So, you know, Bobby Hull was Blackhawks, right?
And yes, and
You already have ties
both
to
of
the
them are
Blackhawks?
Blackhawks. Bobby
Yeah.
Orr is Blackhawks.
Yeah,
Bobby
and
Hall is Blackhawks.
Winnipeg Jet and Hartford Whaler.
Wow. Just wow. So we thank you all for your comments and correspondence, as always. Much appreciated. So now, let's move on to Silly Card of the Week. As always, brought to us by our friends at AMG Collectibles.
I'm pissed, by the way. I
Okay.
already looked at the results. I got questions.
Hey, we're going to get the results here in a second. AMGcollectibles.ca, AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. So this week, letting you know, this is going to drop on Tuesday. Tuesday is actually a holiday that is passionate of Eric's heart. More of this on Friday. But regardless, the holiday means that the mall is actually closed. So we won't be able to record. I did get that notification from Blair just to confirm. And I said, you know what, fine, let's move it to next week. So I will still put something on the channel probably. I'll double check and see if there's anything on there. If there is, either way, if you're following the channel already, there'll be either a community post or a short video or something, at least acknowledging it. We'll come back next week with the new episode. And that probably means that episode 100, which is coming up, we're on episode 99 is the next one. Episode 100 will probably bring back the Collector the Scallops Collector People Steve, which just seems appropriate. Seems appropriate to have Steve there for episode 100. And it gives me one more week to see if maybe we can do something a little special for 100. So no promises yet, but I'm going to see if maybe we can swing something like that. That'd be kind of fun. So regardless, there will be more episodes coming up, but this week is not going to have a regular podcast episode just because of the holiday. Next week, we'll be back to the regular schedule. So that's it for that. Okay. So now, Brandon does have questions. So we must address said questions. It's very important. So let's quickly pull up the results from last week, and then we'll look at it together and see what Brandon is referring to. So if we look at it right here, we got ourselves 42 votes last week. Here we are. Hunting Wabbits received 21% of the popular vote. Deadpool received 26% of the popular vote. And hashtag hot dogs received 52% of the popular vote. Brandon, what's your question?
All right. So the prior week, used a card with literal freaking hot dogs as the parallel. You can't get much dumber than that. And it got about 30% of the votes. Carlos puts a card with just hot dogs on it, and it gets 52%. How in the hell? They're both hot dogs. And the parallel
Brandon,
I am dumber than that one.
I am focused on the hot dogs themselves. Eric, the hot dogs are the centerpiece of the card. Brandon gave the accoutrement on the outside of it. No. The hot dogs are the subject. And what, Brandon, you don't understand is the people were hungry. They were hungry, and they said,
I can't blame them.
I'm starving.
I can't blame them. I had a dog at the ballpark yesterday, and it was pretty damn good. So I can't blame the people for being hungry, but I got questions about how the parallel didn't get the votes, but just the damn picture of the hot dogs people liked. I don't get that one. But anyways,
Indeed.
Eric, so, we got some questions.
So those are the results. We count all the votes. It is the only true democracy in this world, and we will be doing so once again this week. So this week, we're going to start off here. And as usual, you will all have opportunities to explain yourselves. So why don't we begin with this visage? Here is the first option. Gary Pettis of the Angels. Who would like to say their piece on this?
So, this is mine. And it looks just like a normal baseball card.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Said Gary Pettis. What does it look like to you, Eric? What do you think this is?
I'm not saying any words about nothing.
So, what this actually is a 14-year-old. This is not Gary Pettis. This is actually Gary Pettis's little brother, who happened to be there at the ballpark, at practice, whatever, had the jersey on. And the photographer seen Pettis on the back and said, "Hey, boy, come here, let me take some pictures of you." And they never corrected it. So this 14-year-old young man got his own baseball card with his brother's name on it.
Indeed.
Looks like
now the question is...
Looks like he went to Glamour Shots.
I think he was probably very confused and was just doing what the photographer told him.
Well, what you guys don't know is that if you attend the expo, which we'll talk about right after Silly Card of the Week is done, we'll come back to that in a second. But after we get to that, if you see Eric at the expo, he'll be happy to pose in a similar way for you. But the important thing is that I think the correct thing to do for people would have been to get Gary Peters to sign this card.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's the play.
If I'm not mistaken, the brother's name is Lynn Pettis, I think is what it is.
Maybe get them both to sign it. Why
Yeah.
not? That'd be good. Gary Pettis card. Lynn Pettis can sign as well. Boom. Done. Sounds like a project to me. So that is our first option.
Brother stole his spotlight.
He did. Indeed. Second. All right, Eric, what say you?
I don't remember this game. You would have thought it would have, made Sports Center where Yosemite Sam, stops Ken Griffey, from coming. I'm thinking maybe from third to home, and all of a sudden, Yosemite Sam, who's playing for the Royals, lassos him and stops him. But I don't remember that game and that highlight, so I was shocked to see it on a card. But clearly, this is something that happened. Maybe Warner Brothers wanted to keep it on the down low because maybe Yosemite had too much to drink that day. I'm not sure, but I saw this at the shop and I said, if that isn't a silly card of the week candidate, I don't know what is.
So I'm actually going to skip. I'm going to quickly bypass my card, but I do want to show you something. As soon as I saw this, I felt like a little scholarship is in order, Brandon. I felt like I would help Eric out here. Poor impressionable Eric. He does not know of the heyday of the Looney Tunes baseball collaboration, but fortunately, our friends, the Fanatics Overlords, they are here to help us out because I would like to show you. This is not my candidate for silly card of the week. It is merely scholarship to help you. Because what you may not be aware of is that Donald Duck played for the Chicago Cubs. So as you may not be aware, and a testimonial right here, Topps Chrome right here, played for the Chicago Cubs. Mickey Mouse played for a major league team as well. He played for the Angels, I believe, maybe with the Pettis brothers. So I will have you know, this is a real card that you can pull. This is a real thing. So Eric, as far as I'm aware, all the cartoons played in all the major league teams.
Well, I know. I know that a lot of the Warner Brothers cartoons played basketball, and they saved the planet with Michael Jordan some years ago, and I'm still very appreciative of that because they're heroes, and and not all heroes wear capes, but thank goodness for the Space Jam team. This is utter nonsense, and
I'm just saying. You question Yosemite Sam's credentials when I've got Donald Duck here pitching for the Cubs.
I think they need a Warner Brothers Disney, face off and see, who's really the best. Because I'm going Warner Brothers. I'm not a Disney fan.
Maybe, but this is not my silly card of the week. It is merely scholarship to help poor Eric out. This is actually my silly card of the week candidate here. In the land of the Hockeys, I'd like to discuss 80-81 Topps. And the important thing about this, and I've kind of displayed this before, one thing of a lot of the 70s, 80s, and 60s, of course, as well, to be honest, is the old airbrushing. Now, as you can see, the airbrushing, this is Rick Vibe.
Yes.
He of the multiple 50-goal seasons with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And in this card, he is pictured.
First Maple Leaf ever to score 50 goals in a season.
Correct. And he held the record, the franchise record, until Austin Matthews beat it. So, here he is in 80-81, being pictured as a member of the Maple Leafs. He was not a member of the Maple Leafs. I believe he was with Vancouver Canucks at the time. I can't remember. But regardless, he's airbrushed over it. So you can see on the shoulders, he's airbrushed, which is pretty standard.
This is his rookie card, by the way.
Yes. So he is airbrushed here, which is standard, if he's shown in a different team. But what is not standard is that the artiste took license and decided to personally give him a coif. This is not actually what his hair looks like, but it is the way it looks like on this card.
I was wondering.
I love the cowlick too. That's a goodie.
I thought, like, if you took the Maple Leafs and everything away, I would have thought this would have been like a kung fu actor or a kung fu artist or something, not a hockey player.
Perhaps
The
everybody
hair,
was kung fu fighting.
the hair is a little Asian. Yeah, I could see that. Little Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
All I'm
he
saying
looks like
is,
he's right out of a kung fu movie.
all I'm saying is, it was 80-81, and perhaps at the time everybody was kung fu fighting.
It is possible they could have been.
Those
And
cats
the
were
way
fast
it
as
goes
lightning.
back on the right side, is that like from the middle and then it swoops back? I mean, is that like all one strand? Homie had some long ass hair to get it to go that far back.
Quite impressive. It really was.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've laughed at this card pretty much since the first time I've ever seen it. So it's a doozy. And I'm sure would you like me to go to the magic box? Let's see.
Did he have I wonder, did he have a helmet on and they added hair to cover the helmet?
So Brandon, this was theorized. So Brandon, I will not take full credit for it. I want to say it was the Puck Junk podcast that kind of because they did a retrospective on this set. And as part of the retrospective on the set, they showcased this card. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yes, this is the one. This is right here.
I went to the magic box and there it is.
Indeed. So I will give them credit. If I can find the episode, I'll link it in the description. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, Brandon, wow, chef's kiss. This is it right here. This is it. Rick Vibe, 80-81 tops. All three options will be available in a community post. You can make your selection. Silly card of the week. The only true democracy in this world.
Yeah, they definitely did a number on them.
They did. They did. That was a thing. So yes, so we got that. Let me see here real quick. A couple of things that we're going to shift over to. There was one thing I wanted to do right at the end of Silly Card. What was it? Sorry, I did mention I wanted to showcase something or talk about something right after Silly Card. Do you remember what it was? I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but now I forget. It wasn't pickups yet, but there was something else. Oh yes, I remember. Okay. I wanted to make quick note of it because it is important. I would be remiss if I did not give us the update of all updates because it is important. Because at the time that we are speaking right now, at this very moment, people, here it is. The countdown to the Fall Expo.
Fancy timer now.
I know. Brandon, our production values are on point today. On point. 37 days. We are under 40 days. People, Sunday. Also Thursday and Friday and Saturday. You can go to the expo where you can meet such notables as noted person of John Malkovich or Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards. Again, they've never been seen in the room at the same time. We can be convinced they're different people. Just throwing it out there. You can meet and greet, get your pictures taken, get autographed. He can sign as Brandon. He can sign as John Malkovich. It's all the same.
That might get me in trouble.
If it's enough squiggles, can anybody really tell the difference?
If you sign it not John Malkovich, you can't get in trouble.
Yes.
Hashtag allegedly.
Exactly. Yes, that's what it was, Eric. I wanted to make sure I get the countdown in there. We're under 40 days. We got to do the countdown. But that means, though, guys, the next time we convene on this very venue, we will be at 30 days on the dot.
Wow.
Clock keeps ticking. It will be October next week. So, like I said, clock's ticking. You got to watch out. So that's our little update for that. Okay. So now I think it's time for pickups. So, Brandon, I got a question. I've got a couple quick, straightforward ones. I can show those off quick. Yeah, I would say let's do that, Eric. Why don't we do anything we want to showcase? I've got a few small items that I can showcase first. Yeah. And then you can show a couple, and then we'll take a couple of minutes because Brandon's got a story. He's going to weave a tale for us.
Yeah.
So we can discuss that. All right, so grab anything you want. Let me grab my pictures here, and I'll take care of that on my end, and we can make that happen. So that should be no problem. Let me close this, and I will grab some of the images. I do have a couple of Not Swell fellas that I can showcase here this week. Extra fanciness this week. Oh, yes, extra fanciness.
Are you going to get the one that is on a berry swap for, I believe it was $44,000?
Probably not. No, not so much. There's a lot of very expensive stuff these days. Okay, let me showcase a couple of these. Like I said, it's going to be quick, most of these, just because there's not too much of a crazy story to them. I just saw them. I thought they were cool, and I picked them up. So I'll zip through these pretty quick today. So let me show you. Let me start off with this one. I literally picked this up minutes before we hit record. So this is from the brand new Cllct. and there's a
Ooh.
couple of variants to it. So this is actually the number out of 25. Obviously, this case has clearly seen better days. The case has been demolished. I don't know what these people are doing to these kids. Like, what are
A
you
little
doing bumping
scratches.
this case?
Yeah, a little
Oh,
scratch.
this case is destroyed. I think at this point, like, and this could maybe a discussion for another day. For me, when you've got a case that's this badly scratched up, at this point, I'm taking it out of the damn thing and putting it in my own Watt Touch.
Oh
There's no
yeah,
point in keeping in a case this bad.
100%.
Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So the outbursts, I'm assuming, are clear as well
Yes.
on the clear cut.
For the clear cut set, yes. Yeah,
It's okay. I don't.
You'll see it once I get it in hand. The outburst rainbow itself actually reflects.
Okay.
The problem
I was
is
when
when
you're
you're doing a scan.
there, I was like,
When you're doing a scan, it's flat. When you're doing a scan, it's
really
flat.
do much for it.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it actually hurts. It actually hurts these when you take the pictures. It looks flat, but if you put light to it, it actually, from the ones I've seen,
So
it
it
should
has-
have a little bit more shine to it.
Has like a foil to it. Okay. Well, that's
yeah.
cool then.
Yeah. And I like my on-card auto, so for me, it works for that perspective. But I believe it's got some extra shine to it. When I get it in hand, I'll showcase it properly. Now these were actually a couple. I'll give Paul credit in the Discord. He actually showcases. So there was a COMC seller that had a couple of these. So this one I believe is the 1999 Flair showcase. Speaking of Flair, coming back in the hockeys, Flair showcase. So this is one of the legacy collections out of 99. And then here is the 1997 Flair showcase. So I got two of the legacy collections for the Not Swell Fella. I like these cards. I'm a big fan of these ones. Always happy to add these because they're getting more expensive. Like, it used to be way cheaper to get your hands on these. And as time has gone on, because as the other 90s stuff keeps getting dragged up, we've talked about this, it increases the tide. It actually pushes this stuff up. So now it's getting more expensive. So both of these, I was able to basically do a best offer on COMC, and the seller, we were able to come to a deal. So worked out. Got to have a Dennis PC card.
Oh my God.
I know, right? From Leaf,
That
no
even
less.
real? She didn't do the DMD thing.
She in 2020 she didn't. In 2020 it was a different auto. That's what made me laugh. This one I call the Eric special, just for him.
That's horrible.
Brian Gray, just for that. And by the way, there was a dealer in Vancouver who actually has the Britt Baker picture that these are based on.
This is
horrible.
horrible.
The actual pacing.
That should be a silly card of the week. That is just utterly disgusting.
Wow. You should tell Britt that to your
horrible.
face. She'll drill you.
Horrible.
I have a couple of versions of this one, so I wanted to get the red one. So I was like, all right, let me get the red one to go with the other ones.
Horrible. And you have multiple copies of this.
I have multiple copies, Eric. I have multiple copies.
No, that is horrible. These women should sue. Lawyer.
I was going to say, this is your moment. You could be right there going lawyer.
That is disgusting.
Wow. Eric feels very strongly about this. He's very passionate.
Yeah, that should be illegal. That's just horrible.
Wow. Hey, look, we say the same thing about including Bruins and sets, but they still do. Anyway, last one. Donruss Crusade, Carlos Delgado. I mean, I actually have the green version of this one. This one is the purple. And Brandon, my favorite part about this is I think the seller made a mistake, and PSA itself also gets credit for this. There's a third line that you can put on here. It just says 1998 Donruss Crusade, Carlos Delgado. But there's a green, a purple, and a red. And the thing is, the green is, I think, numbered out of 250, if memory serves me. The purple is actually numbered out of 100. So it's right there. It shows red on the back. It's numbered out of 100.
Yeah,
the
they
thing
didn't
is,
put the parallel.
They didn't list the parallel. So it's just like, oh, Donruss Crusade. So if you get the one out of 250, it's not crazy expensive. Delgado, obviously, to me, he's like on the borderline of being in the Hall of Fame. If you take a closer look at the stats, he actually had great stats for his day, especially considering in the American League where he was. But the thing is that it's like, yeah, if you don't put the purple, that's out of 100. That's a little tougher. That's actually a little more sought after. The red obviously is the toughest one, but the purple one is right there. And I've already got the green, so I'm going to put the purple to go along with the green. So a couple of 90s things. And Eric's favorite Dennis PC card of all time. Of all time. It's pretty exciting. So those are my pickups. A little bit of a mixed match of different things. So that'll be it for me. Eric, what do you got?
So I got a couple. I'll try to do them quick. So I want, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was going to go see Grant Fuhr and have him sign.
And instead, you saw a lawyer.
So I ordered something to get signed by him. All right, and I don't know if I went over this already in the past, but and it was going to be one of these. I was going to have him sign it, but instead, it just didn't come to me on time to get Grant to sign it, and this did. Which I was like, I like it. I like a game used Phil Esposito card, but that's not going to help me get my signing with Grant. So I notified, and this one's out of 85, and this one has no number on it. But so this is the green out of 85, and it happened to be a woman that was selling these things, and she said I could just keep this one, and then she got this to me, but it wasn't in time. So the next time I see Grant, I will have him sign this, and I don't have any plans on seeing Phil. I mean, so I don't see that getting done. Picked up a 82 Bobby Orr TCMA. It's pretty much worthless, but it came upon my radar, and I went, yeah, I don't have that, so I picked that one up. Picked up Bruins legend Dick Redmond playing for the Seals. I love the old Seals cards, so you get a Bruin in a Seals jersey. So I picked that up. It's no peachy, but the creme de la creme, and the last thing I'll show is an actual photo taken of Bobby Orr back in, I'm gonna guess, 1976, because of the uniform. I think that's the centennial patches on the shoulders, but this is an actual picture taken of him playing at the Garden, I think. I don't remember in 76 if they had white at home or black at home. They changed a bunch of times. So, but I also know that that head in the corner that's definitely Wayne Cashman's bald spot. So you got Wayne Cashman's bald spot and Bobby Orr, and this is an actual photo from, I believe, 1976 that was taken by a fan at the game. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I have that.
Look at
And that's
Eric with
all I
the
have to pick
original.
up.
Look at Eric with the original photographs. Very exciting.
And Wayne Cashman's bald spot. So the next time I see Cash, maybe I'll ask, hey, can you sign it on the bald spot? And see what he says.
Also note that Eric's stalkerdom goes to memorizing the bald spot of different hockey players.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a fan, you're a fan, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be a fan, be a fan.
I see. Indeed. Brandon, we leave you last and certainly not least, but you have items, you have story time with Bobbles and Ball cards.
Yeah.
Now is your moment.
I don't really have a pickup per se, but me and the wife decided out of unexpectedly Saturday night, we were watching the Nationals game, and I heard that Michael Taylor was retiring. And obviously, just going back to last episode and talking about what my personal grill would be and everything, coincidentally, the Chicago White Sox were in town. So I jumped online real quick, seeing, what tickets were available, grabbed 2 seats, center field, front row, and we went to the game yesterday. I have not attended a game at Nats Park since October 1st, 2019. The last time we were at Nats Park was January of 2020 for Winterfest. Obviously, right after that, the world went to hell. It was kind of bittersweet because we didn't get to witness all the championship stuff outside of the parade. The team kind of got torn apart, and so it just, the enthusiasm of going up and watching games just kind of got lost. But we got tickets, went to the game yesterday, had a blast. I told her actually when we got back home, I was like, it's weird. We hadn't been there in, almost exactly 6 years for a game. But the way everything was set up and stuff, it kind of felt like it wasn't that long ago. But to tie into the story and for the pickups, obviously Michael Taylor is on the White Sox this year. As I said, he decided he was retiring. It worked out perfect that his final game would be at Nats Park. But to tie that back in with the last time we were there, I purchased this jersey. And for those that aren't, familiar with Michael Taylor, obviously for the majority of his career, he wore number 3. This jersey he wore in 2014 when he made his debut. He played, I believe, 17 games. He played in or participated in 17 games in 2014 where he wore jersey number 18. And then in 2015, he switched over to number 3. I never thought that I would actually find one of these, and I actually have a card here. This is another Superfractor, but this is the 2015 Topps Chrome, and you can see there he's actually wearing number 18 in it. I never thought that I would find one of these just because he played so few games with the number, and it was a long time ago since he wore that. But when we went to the wild card game, and this goes back to talking about the game, game used and how much stuff costs today and all that. The Nationals used to have a couple small team stores around the stadium plus the main one, and you could actually go in there and buy game used bats. You could buy balls. You could buy jerseys. Pretty much all kinds of sorts of different game used items, and it was relatively reasonably priced. And at the wild card game, there was a rack outside that was clearanced, and I about shit myself when I seen it had a Taylor number 18 on the rack. So obviously I bought it, and I've just had it ever since here. And when we went to the game yesterday, I took it with me, and I tried to get down near the dugout before the game. The ushers wouldn't let me down there. So once the game was over, I seen that he was down, near the area outside the dugout where like fans could see him or whatever. I didn't know if I could make it all the way around the park to get to him, but I told my wife, I was like, I'm gonna go try, and I actually made it around there. And his wife had actually left a comment on a picture that I posted on Saturday evening, and she was down there with him with their 2 kids, and I said, "Hey, Bree," and she heard me and looked up, and I was like, "Any way he could do this?" She's like, "I'll let him know. I'll see what I can do." Well, I wasn't gonna like yell at him or anything like that because he was talking to folks, and one of the staff members came over and said, "Do you have anything for him to sign it with?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." I handed him the blue Sharpie, and he took it to him. Michael signed it, seeing that it was me. Um, you know, he seen me in the outfield, obviously, because we were in the front row also. But I got pictures of him signing.
You want me to see? I can probably pull them up from the Discord if you give me a minute.
Well, I have this one here too. Like, this is literally where we were in the seating.
Oh,
he was right there.
Yeah, excellent.
So, we were right there. So it was awesome. It was also for those that are like passionate about sports and everything, especially if you watch on TV or listen on the radio or whatever. Bob Carpenter, the longtime Nats, voice for the games on TV, he also retired yesterday. He's done the game since 2005 when they became a team, and so that was also his final game. So it was just awesome to, someone that I've been a fan of since I became a Nationals fan. Obviously, I've talked, I showed the Superfractor last week. Here is his 15 rookie Chrome Superfractor. I have a pretty decent collection of his stuff. I don't know if there's anyone else out there that has an 18 Taylor jersey, and now it's signed. And it was awesome to be able to get it because he lives in Florida. I doubt I will ever see him again. He's unless he like did an appearance at Nats Park or at a card show or something, which I don't know that he would. But it was awesome to get that. I have his cleats back there. I have his bat that he gave me. And so it just kind of like when you talk about hobby grail, and I said, that 14 superfractor auto, I think this almost could also be up there because he didn't wear that number very long. The red jersey probably only wore a couple games, and so to have it signed and everything, have it done on his last game, um, be able to witness that game, I just think that all kind of put everything full circle. And I told you guys before we went on, he's not by any means a Hall of Fame player, but and I don't know if people watched highlights or anything, but you could tell that he was important to the Nationals by the fan reaction, by both teams reacting, giving him the moments. The umpire at one point, called timeout on his behalf because the fans were cheering and everything for him. So it was like, he may not have 500 home runs, he may not be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he had a successful career because he did things right, and that was proven just by the recognition he got. So
that's fair. Yeah, that kind of goes in the category we talk about fan favorites. That's what we were talking about a little before. There is like a different category. There's a superstars. Different franchises have different superstars, different category of people that are in there. But then there's also the fan favorites, and a lot of times in hockey we get this pretty commonly, and we've talked about this before. This can be so. Thank you for sharing the story. That's why we wanted to leave it last, because Brandon had more stuff that he could talk through and show, and there was more to it. For the rest of it, it's like there's fun stuff there. The stuff we showed is obviously Eric and I added those pieces for our collection. I didn't. If I had realized how much passion Eric would have for the Dennis card, I would have grabbed the rest of them so that we could enjoy all of them, and I would have put all the rest of them on the screen for him. Now that I know, revisit this space. We may get back to this later on. Anyway, now I kind of wish I had bought the full size version, because there is the actual original art. There was a dealer in Vancouver who had the original art, and I would be like, yes, let me get the big version. Yeah.
That might be a hobby grail for Carlos now.
Listen, Brandon, not only is it exceptional, like I get the big version of it. It's like Britt will sign one side of it, Michael Taylor will sign the other side of it, Hal fucking Gill will sign the top quarter. Bam! Hobby grail. And right there over the edge, Marcel. Boom. Grail and grails. All the grails come together. But anyway, so like obviously those fun stuff for our collections, but Brandon has the additional element of the collecting side of it. He's got all the different, he showed off that superfractor that had the same jersey number, and obviously it takes it to that next level. It's a little deeper than just your average pickup. In hockey, we get that though commonly because, and this is something I explained with a lot of the player collectors, you've got people that will collect the more obscure players. Yes, there's the people that collect the Gretzkys, the Lemieux, like the top guys. But there's also, there's people that collect other like top tier super, like Hal Gill, like the absolute tippy top. And then occasionally there's some people that collect bottom feeders like Bobby Orr. So you got there's levels to this, man. Reggie Lemon. There's levels to this. So there are collectors for those people. So Brandon, in hockey it is not unusual. You know who one of the most popular, but one of, and disproportionate to his actual career. You know who's one of the most popular Toronto Maple Leafs of the more current era from like the 90s on, that has like people who collect his cards, and you get good money for his cards if it's the right situation, even though the name wouldn't necessarily register outside Toronto?
No.
Gary
Felix
Robert.
Felix Potvin. There's a couple of guys who absolutely like will pay good money. You sit there and go like, is that Patrick Waugh? Like, is it Bart Hamber? No, it's Felix Potvin. The passion that some people have for they loved Felix Potvin. And it's not like he's got a trillion cards.
He had a run when he was in Toronto. He had a run.
He did.
He was something special.
And for those kids, he was a hero. For those kids, he was a hero. Yeah. So for them, you go look at his career. Like, he had a good career. He had a couple of nice years. He had a decent run. But for those kids in the 90s, when Felix Potvin, he was their guy. He was their dude. So if they can get anything for him, like they will happily pay. It's not even a question. Same as kind of the example you're giving.
If I'm going to be honest, when I started buying Jason Robertson, I thought that was like what I was going into with him. I didn't expect him to be a decent player. I'm not saying great, Eric, you can put the pump away. I thought he was going to be a guy that might have been, he would be a starter or whatever, have a couple good games, and be overlooked and pretty cheap. And then unfortunately, people started liking him, and he started playing well, and then
Influencers
product got
started speaking
delayed.
his good name.
I don't have that much pull. But no, I mean, he's kind of leveled out some now, but
He has, yeah.
that's what my expectation was. I mean, if you look and hear the player Victor Robles, he's not a superstar. He's not going to be a Hall of Fame player, but he's a guy I met when he was in A-ball, and with me and my kids, and so I started following him and building a collection of them, and I think it's fun to do that. Like you mentioned, you just showed a Carlos Delgado.
Mhm.
You said he's fringe Hall of Famer, but
Yeah.
he's someone that's important to Blue Jays baseball, So I think collecting those guys it's one of the funnest things that we can do in the hobby.
Yeah. And that's why I say I think there's a place for the fan favorites. We joked about the SP Signature Legends. It became one of our iconic kind of bits where we would have so much fun. But the thing is, like, as a product for what it was, our critique wasn't that the set existed. Our
No, I love the
critique
set.
was
That's
that
great.
the relative price of the set, and then but you'd be trying to dangle the Gretzkys and some of those guys who were in the set as a draw. But I go, the majority of them are not. The majority of boxes that you're opening are not going to be those guys. We get a heavy dose of the SP Signature Legends and less of the actual legends.
Dare I say it
Dare you say?
was kind of comparable to maybe a poorly put together repack where you hang up the
Dangle the
chaser
chase,
cards,
dangle the
and
big
then the
chaser.
rest of the product is like,
Scandalous.
You're shooting for the Gretzky and you pull the Hal Gill.
Well, listen, Eric, it is Hal fucking Gill, though.
I know it is. I know.
Let's be
I
honest.
know. I know.
Yeah. So real quick, so before we go out of the segment, because this kind of leads me down a thought. Like I said, we're light on news, folks. Other than we're 30 days out from the expo, get very excited. 37 days, we're getting there, we're under 40 days, we're getting closer. Here's a fun thing. Since I brought him up, I pulled up some stuff from eBay Terapeak, and I've got a nice card that I want to show you. So from the cup, I talked about Felix Potvin. So let me use an example here, to illustrate my point, because I have one for us. So here is NHL Glory. It's got the little medallion. It's from the cup. It's a nice looking card, on card auto there. This is Felix Potvin, shown in his Toronto Maple Leaf gear. Like I said, he's kind of a cult hero in Toronto lore for the early 90s.
No doubt. You're 100% right.
Yeah. So like I said, all those factors that I gave you, it is the cup. But again, you look at overall kind of the guy. Now, I want to give you some context as well, even as I'm speaking about it. So I'm showing you the card, but I'm also going to pull up a little information just so we can look at it. And then I want you to think about it. Don't outsmart yourself, but I want you to think about this a little bit. So let me give you a little background on Felix Potvin's actual career. So Felix Potvin won 266 games in the National Hockey League, which is pretty good. He lost 260 with 85 ties, 32 shutouts, pretty good. 276 goals against, and a 905 save percentage. Very solid. He was very much a reflex goalie. So it was one of those things where, like, when things were going well in his reflexes, he was able to use it. There were moments where, like, he could rack up shutout. Like 32 shutouts is not a joke. That's legitimate.
Good stuff.
Yeah. 905 save percentage, very solid, very respectable. There was a couple of years where he led the league in losses. Then there were other years like he had 30 win seasons. And again, the Toronto team, some of the Toronto teams that had the biggest run, like 93, 94, I think was the big run that Toronto had. Well, he was basically the starting goaltender for that team. That's why he's remembered so fondly. Again, kind of a fan favorite. He did bounce around the league a little bit. He played 8 years in Toronto. That was his big run. 3 years for the Kings, 2 years in Vancouver, 2 years for the Islanders, and a year in Boston. So that's kind of the totality of his career. In Boston, in 28 games, he was 12-8-6. So not atrocious.
He had a winning record here, and the team wasn't very good.
Yeah, a 251 goals against for that team, a 903 save percentage.
It wasn't a very good team.
Yeah. So overall, like, respectable. 13 seasons in the NHL, very respectable, Brandon. Nothing wrong with that. So here's my question. All right, I gave you some of the background. again, overall, this player's in no danger of getting to any Hall of Fame, other than maybe the Maple Leafs personal Hall of Fame because he was remembered so fondly. Yep, there you go.
Felix Potvin on a Bruins puck right there.
Yep. So here's my question, Brandon. This card from the Cup. This card, specific example that I'm showing you, sold in June 2025. So June 23rd, 2025. So it's this year. So I'm giving you a comp from this year in the summer. How much did this card sell for? Remember, this little NHL Glory thing, it's literally a metal medallion. Like, there's no game used anything on here. It's literally an on-card auto with kind of a cool gimmick and a neat design. How much did this card sell for? In auction.
In auction, someone in Toronto bought it and paid a lot for it, I bet.
Okay. What say you?
$220.
Okay. What say you, Eric? What do you think?
I'm going to go, I'm telling you, they're maniacs in Toronto. It's $300.
If I combine the two of yours, it's almost right.
Yeah.
$500 flat. $500 flat. 500 flat, yeah. American.
Yeah, they're maniacs. The Felix Potvin collectors in Toronto are absolute maniacs. If he came to the expo, it would be like Elvis.
He'd have a huge line. He'd have a strong line.
It would like freaking Elvis showed up.
Yeah. So Brandon, that's kind of to my point. That's why I'm playing it into your Michael Taylor story here. I'm taking a guy who objectively was about a 500 goaltender, but he had his moments. But he's a fan favorite. He has a cult following, and they're hardcore.
Yeah.
He's their Michael Taylor. They love him, but the stats don't back it up. But they love this man. They love this man, and they will swear by this man.
Well, like I said, he's far from the Hall of Fame. He doesn't have the greatest batting stats, but he's had moments that are just like they're big memories and big moments for the Nationals. And I always like to say he's got the best stat line than any player could ever possibly dream of in the World Series. The most important aspect of baseball: one pitch, one swing, one home run. And you can't do much better than that. You get into a game, you take one pitch, you swing, hit it, you hit a homer, you're batting 1,000. So he will forever be batting 1,000 and a World Series champion. I remember the grand slam at Wrigley when the announcers were saying that the wind was whipping in, that no one was going to hit a ball out that night. And then I think it was in the 7th inning, he hit a grand slam at Wrigley when they didn't think anybody was going to hit one that night. He's made some awesome he was really known defensively. He won a Gold Glove. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked at the amount of fans, but I think I downplay sometimes, like when I'm joking and like, I don't know who the hell else is buying him. He was a fan favorite, so it shouldn't surprise me. And I guess that, makes it even kind of cooler that I've been able to accumulate some of the pieces that I have. So, I mean, with Modano and having other collectors out there of him, it can be difficult, and I've been able to obtain some pretty good stuff of his. So
yeah, that's why I say never underestimate a fan favorite. That's why I thought, and I think you agree, Eric, the Felix Potvin one I thought was a good comp, like a good example of like how powerful a fan favorite can be. I was looking up at the same time that I pulled up that card. I was also checking limited logos. They actually had a limited logos in 23-24 for the Cup. They got Potvin into limited logos. Well, limited logos is a subset I love. I'm a big fan of the limited logos with the big patch piece and the autograph. The Potvin was out of 25. One of those sold in July for $440 in auction.
Yeah, I would
very strong.
I would honestly be very comfortable in betting a crisp, clean $100 bill that somebody in Toronto is, in that area of Toronto. Okay. I buy
was the logo
that kind of money. Islander fans are not.
It's a patch and then signed beside the patch.
Well, that's surprising me that one went
buying that
less than the little.
That one's out of 25. The other one was out of 10.
I don't care. One has a nice big game used jersey. The other's got a stupid little metal medallion.
Listen, go outbid them next time. Go outbid them next time.
On,
like, what do you want from me?
Anything that he is on, the Potvin fans in Toronto will want, and will spend money on. They don't care.
To that point, though, do you think that the one with the medallion might have been bid up by somebody thinking that was a shield?
No. Well, so the argument's there, but in reality, it's a metallic thing. And just don't forget, though, there are some people that collect the set. So you got the Potvin fans, and then there are people who legitimately collect that NHL Glory set. Like they're big fans of the set. My Medano cost me a pretty penny. Not less than Potvin. Less than Potvin.
If you would have showed the limited logos, and after showing the medallion one and asked the price on that, I would have expected the limited logos to have went higher.
Yeah. That's why I kind of played it in that order. I thought it would be interesting to see kind of how you played it out. But that's my point, is that we never know how this is going to play. But again, never underestimate the power of a fan favorite. Delgado is somebody that I appreciated at the time, but he grew on me later. I actually came to appreciate him more later on, because like I said, part of the joke that I did off the top, where I started off without the hat and then I put the hat on, is that I've always been a Jays fan for the majority of my sports watching life. But the team has frustrated me over the years. The Delgado years and that team never got over the hump, but they were really good, and they had really good players on that team, really good. And I always it was annoying that unfortunately they could never put the pieces together. The offense would be on point, the pitching staff would let it down, or the pitching staff would be on point and the offense couldn't get it going. Delgado was very consistent and very good, but we had Sean Green, who was a 30-30 guy with the Jays. Shannon Stewart was a very good hitter with the Jays. So it wasn't like they had no hitting. There were guys that would come up and in the same vein, Brandon, there were guys who would have little mini runs. Brad Fulmer had a couple of seasons where he was a good hitter with it. There were good players that would come and go, and they'd shift around. It wasn't until basically Jose Bautista and those guys that was the team that finally put the pieces together. They went all in. Like I think it was Anthopoulos, who was the GM. His job was basically on the line. He went for it. He got David Price as a free agent. Like they tried, as a trade line acquisition, basically. They just went for it. They went rentals. They did all the thing. He based whatever. If this doesn't work, I'm out of a job anyway. So he just threw everything at the wall to see if well, they went to the ALCS. They were able to build a team that went to the ALCS back to back. And then after that, immediately you had to start taking the pieces apart. But he tried. The point is, he tried. Yeah. Even if it didn't work out, he tried. And as a fan, you appreciate when the team is like, you know what? You're almost maybe in the past, you wouldn't have tried. And you would have maybe missed the playoffs or maybe been one and done or whatever. In that case, they won a division title. That 2015 team was the first division title since 1993. And for a generation of people, they're like, it used to be in the late 80s and early 90s, the Jays were winning division titles consistently. They won 7 division titles in franchise history. 5 of them were like from the mid 80s to like the early 90s. They were all right there in that, and then nothing for decades, basically, other than 2015 and this year. We don't take it for granted anymore. We can't.
I was actually thinking about the Nationals team because, obviously fans are talking now because the season's over and what we need to do and blah, blah, blah. And I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know that there's a lot that you can expect from this team, even if we improved pitching, because there's one thing, like the team has young talent. But when I look back and think about that World Series team, that team was the complete opposite. And I think the Nationals really, what they're lacking right now is that veteran depth to help those young guys along, that leadership there. They had a couple that guys, but I just don't think it was the right pieces to mesh it all together and actually have a successful team with the amount of youth that they have there.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Look, regardless of the sport, it's tough to find the mix. It's always tough to find the mix because you can do something that you think will work. The New York Mets spent what, $340 million as their payroll? Like their payroll is astronomical, and they missed the playoffs.
Yep. And they have a team with Alonso, Soto, and Lindor, and they missed the playoffs.
Yep. And what they were missing a lot of times was pitching. So what does that tell you? Like it's the whole thing. You got to put all the pieces together. And I was watching because on social media I was following a bunch of the Yankee fans who were like, pissing on Soto's grave. And I'm like, Soto has like $600 million. He doesn't care about you. First, he'll get over it. He's sleeping comfortably on a bed lined with money. All the monies. And by the way, go ahead.
No, finish what you were saying.
All I'm going to say is I hope those Yankee fans keep the same energy because heaven forbid the Red Sox beat them 2 out of 3.
Ooh,
Because if
yeah.
they do, then oh yeah, you get to brag to go 2 more games or 3 more games.
And lose to
Eric,
your rival.
imagine fire flames, flames, all the flames. Brandon, this is what I want. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'd rather play this. It's not about who I'd rather play. I just want the fucking Yankees to lose. That's all I want. I don't care who does it. I don't care what round it is. The sooner the better, and with the quickness. I want it with the quickness.
You guys know I don't care about baseball, but it is fun around here when the Red Sox and Yankees are in the playoffs playing each other.
Yes.
And just the hate,
yes,
comes out. And you don't see a lot of that in sports anymore. Like the way they used. I mean, I grew up Bruins, Canadians, Lakers, Celtics. Hate, just hate. And then the
common denominator, Brandon, if you notice the common denominator is Boston people are just very hateful.
Yes.
Just a lot of anger. A lot of
fury. Because Green Bay and the Bears, they just love each other. So anyway.
Well, Green Bay and Eric, to be fair, Green Bay and the Bears have the history, but at the same time, Green Bay has pretty much beat up the Bears for the majority of this, for the last like 30 years. The Bears are like, it's literally like the Harlem Globetrotters taking on the Washington Generals, and the Bears have been the Washington Generals. So they kind of enjoy that rivalry at the moment.
All right. Well, that type of, Philadelphia, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Canadians, Boston, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, even the Yankees, Red Sox has been boring the last handful of years, and right now you're really starting to feel a little bit of that old, that old pepper in the air again. And it's fun. It's fun to, being around, because being at the card shop, it's just sport fans that work there. There's sports fans coming in and out all day, and that's all anyone's talking about. And you just, goddamn Yankee. Now, of course, the owner of the shop and his son and one of our employees are Yankee fanatics. They just
so what you're saying, Eric, if I understand you correctly, is they're evil.
Yes. So you have all these Red Sox fans coming in.
Wait, hold on, Eric, before you continue.
I'm evil.
My production value is off the charts today, Eric. Like, really,
we're rocking
next
it.
level.
Yeah.
Go for it. Continue.
So you have all these Red Sox fans coming in, looking to buy Red Sox stuff, giving it the business to the owner, his son, and this other employee that we have. And it's fun. And that hasn't been there in a while. I mean, the Patriots had, like, what? Indianapolis, maybe, because of Peyton Manning. But, they beat someone different.
I would say they had rivals. They had rivals more.
Yeah,
like, really, like to be truthful, the only team that actually kind of ruined their day was the Giants the 2 times.
Yeah, and then Philadelphia that one time, but the Giants definitely. So, but something, people still don't hate Eli Manning.
Well, it's too infrequent. Like, it wasn't like so I think key, and this is kind of a little side conversation. Like I said, guys, it's a slow news week, but this is a more fun conversation, to be honest. I think key to rivalries, though, Eric, to your point, I think it's familiarity. It's not just they beat us in this random series once. Even if the series itself is contentious, whatever, it's got to be consistency. I think what's sold, and I'll just use an analogy from my past, what made the Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, and Red Wings rivalries in that late 90s, early 2000s period is they just played each other in the playoffs so many times. Oh, even Dallas and Edmonton was like an annual tradition, and they were killing each other. And so you go through this keep going through wars of attrition over and over again with these same teams, you have plenty of sandpaper to develop that anger. It's like, I'm sick of you guys. I'm done with you guys. I want to kill these guys so we don't have to see them again.
Yep. And that was definitely, Bruins Canadians. It was like, you're going to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Canadians are probably going to win. until 87 when Reggie Lemlin put his foot down and went, "This ain't happening," and broke the curse. And that's
So
when I became a Lemlin fan.
Now that's when you opened up the first church of Lemon.
You're damn right.
You should see Eric with his Pope hat. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
But that's how a proper rivalry is built.
Right.
That it's that consistency. It's that. Now here's what's funny. Here's an interesting thing. That's like I said. For me as a Jays fan, like I kind of hate both the Red Sox and the Yankees because they're always in the way. Now,
Yeah.
but here's a kind of a funny little story though that's kind of interesting. Brandon, you'll appreciate this. Again, this is the situation like, oh, I hope they have fun. I hope they have fun and destroy each other. I want multi extra inning games. I want Tommy John for everybody on both teams, from the starters all the way through the closer. I want everybody to blow their arms out. I want Aaron Judge to fall on his head like Eric coming off a bicycle and snap his neck. I want death, Eric. I want death. Now, regardless, the Jays are going to play the winner of exactly. Regardless, though, the Jays are going to play the winner of that matchup. Personally, like I said, for me, fuck the Yankees. The faster they lose, the better. So if it's the Red Sox doing it, great. The enemy of my enemy is my friend at the moment. So
Yep.
I'll back Team Red Sox for the moment because I want them to bounce the Yankees right out of here. But regardless of who they play, it will be the first time in the playoffs that the Jays have ever played either the Yankees or the Red Sox. It will be a first because the Jays in the 90s, when they were in the playoffs consistently, they were playing the Oakland A's were more of a rival because it's the Oakland A's they had to beat to get to the World Series. They had to defeat them in the ALCS to get over the hump and actually get to the World Series that first time because they had lost to the Oakland A's a couple of times. And the other team that at that point was more, even in the 80s, the Kansas City Royals, when they won that World Series that past time, was 2015. They beat the Jays in the ALCS to get to the World Series and win in 2015. You know when the other time the Royals got to the World Series, Brandon? 1985, 30 years earlier. They beat the Jays in the ALCS in 1985. So the fucking Kansas City Royals have screwed me twice.
It's crazy how history continues to repeat itself.
Yeah, but it's not frequent enough. Like it's not like it happens on an annual basis. It's literally those two. It's just kind of random that 30 years apart is the Royals both times. So it's like, so we'll see the Royals and the Jays in the ALCS in 2045. Round 3 will go to us. So we'll have to wait. But the point is that the A's were more in the way. The Minnesota Twins were a team that they had to try to beat so in the American League, it was configured differently. It was a very different stuff. So now since the modern era, the Jays and the Red Sox have been in that division. But yeah, so they play each other in the division all the time. So you can develop a disdain but we're talking playoffs. Yankees, Red Sox, obviously they've got all that history. But yeah, the Jays have never played either the Yankees or the Red Sox in any of the play. What was a rival for us like in that 2015-26 era? The Texas Rangers. There's a lot more heat between the Jays and the Texas Rangers because there's a lot of the bat flip and then, Odor punching Jose Bautista. So there's a lot more friction with the Texas Rangers than either the Yankees or the Red Sox because they didn't play each other. So the Jays will play either the Yankees or the Red Sox for the first time in the playoffs. That'll be an interesting one.
Hopefully the Yankees will lose because, that's just, that's just going to be fun for the area and sports fans.
Yes.
And at work, it's going to be awesome because there's going to be 3 guys at work who are going to be just pissed off, and that's going to be hysterical. And the fans are going to come in and just rub their noses in it constantly. So I'm going to have tons of fun with that,
as they should.
But it would be interesting to see something that's never happened before. And I'm going by your history because I don't know. But to see the Sox play the Blue Jays in the division championships or whatever, that would that'd be something interesting. Again, maybe another talking point. It'd be something new.
Yep.
And maybe a new rivalry. Only takes one little spark to set a fire that could last forever. So around here they still talk about Veritek and A-Rod, fighting it out or on the first baseline, with his, Veritek shoving his glove in A-Rod's face and that photo and all that. So, it doesn't take much to have a long-lasting sports memory. So,
Yeah.
and that's what you want as fans. You want something like that.
Yeah. So we'll cross our fingers. We'll see. The Jays have earned the right to sit back and wait and watch to see who plays it out. But that Brandon is what makes it more fun. Now you have an extra stake in it. Now it makes it a little bit more interesting to be like, all right, so we all get to sit back and rub our hands together. I hope you all kill each other. That's all I know. That's all I want. And then we can sit there, and then they can set up.
What is your feelings on the new format, though?
For the playoffs?
Yeah.
Do you mean like the 3 games and then what? Like I saw a little bit of it. I'll be honest. I kind of peripherally pay attention to, but the 3 games for the wild card, right? And then anything else? Was there any other change that I shouldn't be aware of?
Well, no, but it's just like the teams, the division winners or whatever, that they have that break now. And
I like that. I think it's fair. I think if you're first in the in your side of the bracket, there should be some advantage. Like, look, you guys did
well. So far, it hasn't been an advantage. That's the thing,
Brandon. That's a different conversation. Brandon, though, you're talking about guys who have dealt a lot in hockey, like being a number 1 seed versus the number 8. The number 8 wins all the time.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter. The point is that you have the opportunity to be able to set your lineup and set your rotation and everything the way you want. That doesn't mean you're going to win, and that's good because that keeps it interesting. But the point is, you should have that option. You've earned the right. As a fan, you want your team to win more games. To put it another way.
I'll tell you how I feel about it, and I know I'm not the baseball guy, but from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Back when I paid a little bit more attention to baseball, I remember the Sox having a 1-game wild card playoff. And it was freaking awesome.
That's how 2019 was.
You or die.
Yep.
Okay. You had your best pitchers, your best players. This was the World Series. It was a do or die, and it was very exciting, right? And the team with the better record got the home game. Now you got this 3-game best out of 3, and the better record. You get to play all 3 games at your arena, your field.
Your field, yep.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Then the Yankees should have game 1, the Sox should have game 2, and if necessary, the Yankees should have game 3.
I thought that's how they did it.
For the wild card round, you go back and forth.
Yeah.
Please again correct me, but I keep hearing everyone saying that all 3 games are going to be in New York. So if that's
a good transfer.
Let me check. I'll look it up as we're talking. I'm looking it up. Give me a minute. I'll find
and
it.
Again, I am not the baseball guy, but
that's he's right. He's right. They're all at New York.
Yeah,
I thought they rotated too. I could have.
So they do for the DS. So for the DS, they do.
Right.
But it looks like for the wild card series, because I'm looking at it right now, for the AL wild card, it's Detroit and Cleveland. All 3 games are in Cleveland.
Right.
For the NL wild card, all 3 games are in Chicago for the Cubs. And for the Boston and New York, it's all 3 games in New York. And for the Cincinnati Dodgers, is all 3 games in Dodgers.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know. Is this economics? Because it costs a lot to fly.
I actually think it's a timing thing. I think they want to be able, because I'm looking at the schedule and they go game 1, September 30, game 2, October 1st, game 3, October 2nd, if necessary. And all of these are showing 30, 1, 2. I think they just want to go boom, 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 3 games and we're done.
I don't know how fair that is. I don't like that. I'd rather see the 1 game. Now they go into 3 games because they want to make more money. Let's be fair. Okay. Not to be fair. Let's be fair. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
But that 1 game playoff at the team that had the better record, man, I hate baseball, but even I would be paying attention to that. That was some good times.
Yeah,
that was
I get it.
Stuff.
I think the only counter I would give though is that the playoffs already now go deep enough into basically November. I just don't think they want to drag it out because, like I said, all the ones that I looked at are 3 days in a row. So it's a best out of 3. If you win in 2 games, you get the 3rd day off. If you go to 3 games, it's boom, 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 3 games. If you go back and forth, they almost always say, okay, fine, give us a day off to travel. Because that's what they do. They give the day off to travel. And if you did that, then you're just adding another at least one extra day, if not a couple extra days, and you're dragging playoffs even deeper.
I know there's other teams that are doing this that aren't as close, but I can drive to Yankee Stadium and be there in like 4 hours and change or something.
Yeah, well, Boston, New York, though. Boston, New York is the closest proximity of any of these.
And they have private jets, and they could fly in like an hour and a half. So I know other teams aren't that close, and maybe they can't do it. But with private jets, no security, you don't have to go to the airport 3 hours like beforehand, like we do. All right. I mean, you drive right up to the plane, walk up the steps, get on the damn plane. It's like, I don't want to hear it. I just think it's stupid to have all 3 games played in one location. I don't think it's
I agree.
fair.
I like the format better when it was just the one, because that made it like that game was spicy.
Oh,
like it was all or nothing.
Yep. Awesome. I mean, your player that's hurt. I mean, if it's a 7-game series, maybe they sit out a game and rest, and come back for another pivotal game. But that wild card game, you're out there playing on a broken leg, man, because it's all or nothing. It's better than it's a World Series Game 7.
Yeah,
and it's the beginning of the playoffs, and you already got that World Series Game 7 atmosphere, and it's the very first game of the playoffs. I mean,
it's something I'll never forget.
Get rid of that.
It's something I'll never forget witnessing when Josh Hader came in. And Hader's notably one of the best closers in baseball. When the Nationals were down in that wild card game and Hader came in, you could feel the tension in the stands that shit, we're done. And when things just each batter get up and something happened that we didn't expect, and it just the line kept moving, and then when Soto hit that ball to right field, all hell broke loose.
Yep.
Because it was like, holy shit, they did it, And then it was like that. Well, spoiler, the whole reason I'm working on the rainbow of this card, which is nothing special. It's, a 2020 Topps Victor Robles. This was the last out of the game. Awesome. You got the black. Just keep it. Don't ship it to me. I'll pick it up when I come up. But this was the last
I just set your
out.
cards aside for Expo. We'll just do it that way. It'll be easier.
But that's the whole reason I started doing that. That was the last out of that game. And I was like, that'd be something cool to just go ahead. Plus, it's a PC guy. But yeah, I agree, Eric, that one game, that was awesome.
Oh, I get it. Like, look, there's an argument to be made for and against. I get your point based on that. I think though it's kind of it's a weird balancing act that baseball's trying to do, because look, at the end of the day, they're trying to make the most money. Clearly.
And they're trying to level it out, level the playing
And I'm also
field.
thinking about it from the selfish standpoint that yes, but a 1-game playoff doesn't let me kill as many potential Yankees and or Red Sox. So if it was up to me, I think the first round should be a best of 48.
Yeah, I hear you.
And I think you all just play until someone dies. I think that's what should happen, personally, for reasons. But I understand. And maybe you break the tie with cyclocross, except my cool version, not Eric's lame version, it's to the death.
Right.
There are swords and, knives and all kinds of cool stuff. That's what I'm saying. Don't you want to see Aaron Judge on a bicycle chasing after a Boston Red Sox, and then he's got a knife, and then Aaron Judge has a sword, and then they're dressed up like medieval knights, and it's to the death?
I think Aaron Judge on a bicycle would be funny enough in itself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Brandon, this is a win-win. This is a win-win situation for everyone involved. Just saying. I'm just saying. Babe Ruth would never. Think about it. But yes, so we'll see. We're approaching the favorite part of the year, though. We're getting into October, and even then, like, look, to a lesser degree, not quite as exciting. We're approaching the start of the hockeys. That's coming too. It's coming around the corner. It's not far. So we're gonna have the hockeys. We're gonna have playoff baseball and all that. And again, spooky season. Then we get Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Boo. And then after that, right after that, Expo. Bam. It's all happening. It's all happening right now. So yes.
Exciting
All right.
times.
So with that, it is indeed. There you go. And you got a little baseball Eric on that one. Do y'all catch that? Little baseball Eric on there.
We might get him into watching the games yet.
No, you never know.
Yeah. If I do, it'd be by accident.
Yankees lose. Say it with me. Yankees lose.
It just, like I said, if they were playing a 1-game playoff, Yankees Red Sox, maybe I'd go, watch the game with some friends at a bar/restaurant.
Well, if they end up going to the third and deciding game, you're getting that. I would take one each and then take it to game 3. Let's go.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I don't blame you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's touch on this right at the end. This will be at the end. Like I said, it's not a big story, so we'll touch on it. It's fine. Probstein had announced a couple of months back that he was going to be creating his own platform. Originally, it was going to be called BYD. I'll include a link in the description to the Sports Card Madness episode where he talked about it. I don't have a timestamp for you. You'll have to check it out yourself. Again, even if you care. Really what it comes down to is it's a platform where they're going to be selling auctions kind of. They do have slightly different rules. I will include a link to the Cllct article for you though, because what they ended up calling it, obviously jokes came as a result of it. So the Cllct article is going to be called Snype, except it's SNYPE. Very exciting. So instead of BYD, it's SNYPE. So we got that. They got a live chat option for lots because Lord knows you need to trash talk each other in an auction. That's the thing, I guess. You got some features. So look, I'll read you a couple of things off this article, and then you can read the rest of the article itself. So Probstein is as part of the announcement, he's saying he's going to get off the eBay platform itself. It says he sold over 6 million collectibles, generating 925 million in sales, which is significant. It's almost Eric Lakebud money. Almost. So Probstein said that. And then he says his last day on eBay will be October 23rd. So he won't even make it to the end of spooky season. So Probstein's off eBay. Boo. Expo. That's the sequence of events. It's wild. So it's going to go in there. And what happens is, now there are a couple of little wrinkles. So first one is obviously commission fees are lower. So 5% on items under 1,000, 3% for items over 1,000, which is obviously much lower than what eBay is doing. Another thing as well is that apparently the way they're doing this is they're still doing it almost in a consignment way, because you would send the lots to Probstein and they would use their fulfillment to send it to people. But what happens is if you're a bidder, apparently you can hold it there for, I guess, up to 30 days and then have it shipped as a consolidated instead of shipping the individual thing. Or you can have ship the individual ones if you want, but you can do it both ways. So they're kind of combining almost, so it's like an auction, but almost combining it with like a ComC thing where you can consolidate it. So if you win a certain amount of auctions within 30 days, then you can have them ship it all in one box instead of doing individual shipments. So that's the thing in there. Nothing too wild. But other than that, they're going to have some kind of a feature that actually allows you to snipe built into the platform, presumably, hence the name. So very fancy. To me, it's whatever. But really, the main thing for me is, and we were talking about this on the side. So I'll give you the high level to two things. Obviously, Probstein's reputation is such that the first thing that happened, Eric said the thing. Eric said immediately when we were doing the pre-show, and I joked that it's like, yeah, Lameem James has already got the modified version of the logo shill. Everybody and their brother throw it in there. The jokes had to be done. Like, you knew it was coming. So you had that. But like I said, his reputation is that's been kind of the deal for a long time. And obviously he did that interview with Bill Mastro, which of course, synergies, bring it all together. No. So go ahead.
I haven't, you guys know I'm honest. I don't fib too often. I told you guys after that interview, I would never buy from him again. And I have kept my word. I have not given that guy one dime since that interview. And I used to buy from Probstein all the time. I couldn't wrap my head around why would you want to, because he didn't just say, hey, you're my buddy, let's do an interview and talk about what happened. He admitted in the interview that they are actively working with each other again.
Yep.
I went, you're doing what? I do not want to do business with you if you're doing business with him. Thank you. Have a nice day. And I have not given that guy a dime since. Has his company suffered because Eric Wade stopped giving him, $5 for hockey cards? No. But I have no plans on doing business with the guy.
But Eric, it's the emotional damage.
Yeah.
It's the
He's hurt.
knowledge that you don't love him anymore.
He's hurt.
Brandon, it's not about the pocketbook. It's right here. It hurts inside.
You hurt his feelings, Eric.
You really
Yeah.
did.
He's been looking for your eBay bidder ID to pop back on there so
Now,
you can make his day.
Brandon, I don't know if you were on the show or pre-show or whatever, but I get mail here for other people sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I get this package to my house. It's not for me, but guess where it came from? Probstein stickers all over the thing. I'm like, son of a.
I was actually trying to see if I could find the last time. It's been a very long time.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I don't
very
want
uncommon.
this thing in my house.
So let me ask a couple of quick questions. I'm going to quickly refill my beverage here, but let me ask a question. A couple of open-ended questions that I want to ask both of you. Again, I'll go back to what I said a moment ago. I want eBay to have competition because in the long run, that is better for all of us. This may not be the answer, but to be honest, I really don't care. There is some of the issues that we talked about pre-show, and we can touch on them again here. Obviously, look, but the bottom line is I don't care who runs it. Your only way you're going to be viable competition is you're going to have to get the lots. Obviously, regardless of what anybody says here, and all the jokes about chill and everything else, there are plenty of people who can sign through Probstein. 6 million items, 925 million over the course of his career on eBay. So guess what? Some people still do send him stuff to consign, regardless of what else you may think about it. Doesn't matter. And regardless of whatever gets shilled or doesn't get shilled, enough stuff gets paid for, one way or the other, that money's being made. So we cannot ignore those facts. We have to include those facts as part of the discussion. So some people will probably give it a go. Again, the Fanatics Overlords with Fanatics Cllct, formerly PWCC had some shilling allegations too. As part of a thing. And yet, the Fanatics Overlords, the Fanatics auctions continue to run to this very day. Weekly auctions, the big premiere auctions, they're all real. Some people even do watch-alongs of auctions. Scandalous. So that's real. But the point is, and Brandon was talking about it, and again, we can bring it up again here. The bottom line is, can you get enough money from these auctions to offset the potential less eyeballs? If you can get enough money, then those lower fees can also help offset some of it, because eBay is like 13-14%, again, depending on the situation, items, whether you're a power seller, different categories, whatever. There's different levels to this. But if you're like 13-ish%, which is where I sit about 13-ish% for stuff. So if you've got that, but instead you can have it at 5%, well, there's an 8% delta there. There's an 8% gap between the two. So if you sell something and it sells for 5% less, that 8% difference more than makes up for it. But if you sell it for 20% less, then that 8% isn't going to make it up. So can you get enough people to bid enough, consistently enough, to beat legitimate competition? So there's the competition piece. Can they create enough of a platform? And also, does it affect eBay in any way to have a big power seller who does a lot of business with them off the platform, especially with a drop dead date of October 23rd? A couple of things that we can touch on. Brandon, as the resident, associate of 540 Flips, please weigh in on this initially, just as a thought of some of the stuff I laid out.
Well, will it affect eBay? Sure, you're going to lose some, but will it crumble them to where they're going to go out of business? No. I don't remember. There was an article recently that was posted, and eBay sports card sales numbers were astronomical. And obviously, Probstein is a large seller, but you have many, many, many other large sellers that are still on there. So, you take the individual folks, you take the consigners that are still on there, like DC Sports, and there's several others. ComC is still tied with eBay. They're going to be fine. The part that sucks about it, and I'm going to just give my opinion of this, so this isn't going to be everyone's take. I don't take the time to search all of these different platforms. You have Fanatics, you have Probstein now, you're going to have Whatnot, you're going to have There's all these platforms and they keep branching off, right? I don't search all of them. Maybe it's negatively impacting me for some things I look for, but the way I see it is I'm still having fun. I'm still buying things. I'm still adding to my collection. I don't have the time to go through all of these other platforms and constantly search, seeing what's added new, seeing when things are going to be ending. I don't use bid snipers or any of that crap, So will Rick leaving affect me? Not really at all. If something came up that I was looking for, potentially, because I wouldn't go to his marketplace to look for it. But I did find my last purchase. It was April 25th of 2024. That's the last time I purchased anything from Probstein. So it's been nearly a year and a half now since I bought anything from him. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that it couldn't hurt me. What if that Superfractor Auto came up on his platform?
I was literally about to make that joke. It's like, so here on Snipe, hey, listen, Brandon. So when we do these Snipe auction watch-alongs, Eric's volunteering. We're about to do it. When we do the Snipe auction watch-alongs, hey guys, so here we got a Michael Taylor Superfractor autograph, and all of a sudden somewhere, Bubbles and Ball Cards HU, no,
Yeah. No, I mean, to give an example, the last card I bought from him, like I said, it was April 25th, 2024. It was a Victor Robles first Bowman gold refractor auto, and it was jersey number, which Rick failed to put on there and get more attention to. And I got it for the princely sum of $60. But yeah, that, it was the gold auto jersey number, and I like adding the jersey numbers. So
yeah, sure. So let me throw one more thing in then, and I'll pass it over to Eric. So let me kind of going back, kind of half jokingly, half seriously. One of the things that we were talking about before we hit record was I talked about the Fanatics Collect as an example, a comp of this. Obviously, the Fanatics Overlords have a lot more resources to be able to promote the hell out of it. But initially, in the early days, some people were very hesitant and they were skeptical of the platform itself. But as a result of it, especially when it was PWCC, even the early Fanatics Collect examples, but PWCC especially, I was able to get some really nice stuff relatively inexpensively because a lot of people weren't willing to take the plunge and go into it. Brandon's point about there just being too many. So it's a catch-22, right? We want competition because then maybe, so to Brandon's point from earlier, I don't think it's going to crumble eBay at all, but it doesn't matter if they don't have to crumble eBay. All they have to do is force people to at least consider some other possibilities. And what I would like is if for those, the combination of Fanatics Collect, maybe this, maybe something else, to at least force eBay to go like, maybe we shouldn't tighten the screws on the buyers and the sellers at every possible opportunity and nickel and dime them to death, because that's what we get, slowly adding these old things, and it gets more expensive all the time. Go ahead.
I'm not smart enough to design this, but if there's anyone out there that potentially is, you could probably make a hell of a lot of money by designing an app that has a feature to where you can type in a list of things that you're wanting, and it searches all of these marketplaces and alerts you. Literally just a simple saved search app. Because really, I'm not going to sit here and search Fanatics and Probstein and does My Slabs even still exist? Like there's so many of them out there now, the whatnots of the world and all of that stuff.
Yep.
I'll
even throw one that you may not even be familiar with. My Card Post is one that the Gong Show guys.
There's buysportscards.com.
There's sports lots.
Yeah, sports. There's so many sites. Like, let's be real, people.
We're being real, people.
It took me forever to actually create and utilize ComC to its buying potential. So do you damn well think I'm going to look at all these other sites? No. But I'm throwing the idea out there. If you were tech savvy and brilliant enough to design and create an app that had a potential to create saved searches, and it searched all the platforms and gave you a little text alert or something. Hey, this card is on XYZ site or whatever. that would probably get some attention from buyers, or just saying.
Scandalous. So, Eric, you want to touch on this? I gave a couple of things specifically. Like, this may not be something that's interesting to you, but you also understand the point about anything that provides a little bit of competition to eBay, even if it just forces them to improve the features they have, would be beneficial to us. Anything that makes them a little bit more competitive, improve the features, just make the experience a little easier. Give me something as opposed to just taking. That would be nice. If that's all it did, it would still be a win in my book, even if it just makes eBay 5% better.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was back in the 90s and during the Clinton administration, and they're talking about the election and Clinton winning, I think, and one of the political analysts said something like, it's about the economy, stupid. And it became a kind of a very famous quote. And it really is about saying people care about the money in their wallet. They don't care about this policy, that policy, this policy. I care about the money in their wallet. And when it comes to anything we do, that's usually the first thing that we think about. eBay is taking more and more and more. And I don't know how it works up there, and I don't know how it works down there, Brandon. But from what I understand, eBay is also, and I kind of, they were kind of forced to do this, so I can't really blame them, that they are now, over the last year or so, maybe longer, I lose track of time because of the concussions, that they automatically now take tax out from your state, right? So all of a sudden, it's like, all right, the card's $20, the shipping's $5. Oh, and there's tax.
Oh yeah, they collect tax.
Yeah, well, they didn't used to. So
yeah, the jurisdictions were the ones who were like, you are going to collect the tax, right? So eBay is like, we would still like to continue to sell. So yes, we will do that.
Because technically,
they're supposed to.
Yeah, if they don't collect it, then the actual sellers are responsible for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
they're always supposed to. They kind of got away with it when it was a little more freewheeling. And then suddenly all those states are like, wait a minute, where's our cut?
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. So I said you really can't blame them. But the point I'm making is, eBay raises their cut all the time because they want to make money. They're a business. Mm-hmm. States are always raising their tax levels, so more comes out. Shipping, the post office and everything is taking more and more. And the $20 card that you bought is now costing you more and more and more every year. So if a new platform comes out that is truly competitive and they can somehow, one way or another, lower the costs, people, similar to me, that maybe have a moral objection to Probstein or any other company might just go, it's about the economy, stupid, and put those things aside and move over to a different platform. And then eBay sooner or later is going to have to react to that. Competitiveness is important in all business. I think we all understand economics 101. So competition is key. But when you are a mega power like eBay, they're not going to change their policies over some new startup. It's going to take a while until they start noticing that they are losing money. They will not start competing. Probstein starts on the October 20 something or whatever you said, right? 26th maybe or something. 23rd. Well, guess what? On October 24th, eBay is not going to change all their policies to be competitive with Probstein.
No, I would.
No,
The same reason they haven't gone away, because Fanatics Collect has had, and Fanatics Collect has built a bit of a foothold. That's the reason why I use their example. They don't have billions of listings. However, they are getting a decent amount of listings. They are selling some stuff for good money, and some of the more decent to better stuff is selling for prices comparable to eBay plus the juice. So like it's hard to argue that for the seller, it's working out okay, because they're sitting there like, okay, so I'm just getting the amount of money that I would expect to get based on whatever, and then depending on the item and how much stuff you're selling or whatever, you also get a cut of the juice. So in some cases, as a seller, you're actually doing better, but not for everything. There's stuff on that you could put on there and it just won't sell. Like if it doesn't sell, then it's pointless. So it forces you not to list junk. On eBay, we can list some stuff and just let it renew indefinitely, and it doesn't have, and I don't get charged unless it sells, but it never sells because my pricing is bad. Like if I put a bad price on it, it never sells. Well, it doesn't cost me, but it also at the same time never sells. So it's like, yeah, that's a listing, but who cares about that listing?
And the other thing, just to kind of remind people, because I know everyone knows this, but I think they forget, because us card collectors, sports memorabilia collectors, are very single-minded, and we're in our lane and we're very hyper focused on what we like. Probstein's going to focus on cards and sports memorabilia, and Fanatics got cards and sports memorabilia. Keep in mind, eBay could lose all cards and sports memorabilia tonight, and they would still be the king of the hill, because they're selling auto parts, Barbie dolls, comic books, spatulas, hammers,
Enema Man.
And what?
Yeah, those sell for good money.
Domo.
Yeah, Lululemons. I mean,
we have documented that on this very program.
Yes. So,
well, to that point, Eric, and this is something, people talk about the fees all the time. And I think it hits home more in cards, because that market in the collectible space is so heavy driven off of comps, right? And so that's why, like, when people are trying to buy to flip and everything else, they need, I need this at 80% or whatever, because you got to try to wiggle room. What people don't understand is in the other spaces, the other categories, eBay pretty much beats all of their competition in fees, because there's Poshmark, that's for clothing, right?
Yeah.
eBay destroys them in fees. eBay's fees are cheaper than Whatnot. eBay's fees are cheaper than Mercari. Mercari tried, and here's something that people may not even be aware of. Mercari tried to be creative and do 0 seller fees. No seller fees. Instead, the fees were added on as the juice, like in some of the auction houses. So the seller had no fees, the buyer paid a buyer premium. It destroyed their platform. They realized buyers did not want to pay more.
Right.
And so the sales crumbled, even though because the sellers weren't adjusting their prices to say, oh, well, now I can lower my price 10% and I'm still making more than eBay or whatever. They were wanting the full value without the fees, and it destroyed it. So they actually had to revert it back. So, we can talk about these, these players going elsewhere or whatever. Probstein, he may have sold 900 million or whatever in the career being on eBay, but at the same time, he is a very small fraction of the amount of cards that are flowing through eBay's platform. It's good to see that some of these companies are trying something different. How successful or how much of a piece of the pie that they're actually going to take, that's to be determined. I seriously feel like the more that keeps getting cut off and the more platforms that we get, it's actually, I think it's going to hurt more than help, because you're dividing too much. You're spreading things out too far. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't see it changing anything I do.
No, I think it's fair, but that's why I said I didn't think this was too deep a thing. It was still worthwhile having the discussion, because again, for me, I'll check it out when the time comes. I have to see what availability there is to it, because again, every time you create one of these accounts, there are certain complications you have to consider. Fortunately for me, I have a US based address, so there's some stuff where maybe that makes sense. Again, I do the same thing I did with Fanatics Collect. I have to factor in all the factors in and consider exactly how that's going to play. But I'll be curious to see what, if anything, and the good news for us is we only have to wait a couple of weeks. It's not going to be that long. So we're going to see what happens with it. Again, eBay doesn't have to do anything. I think they can take a wait and see approach. They can see what happens with it. For me, it's just like, all right, I'm interested in the experiment. Play it out. Let's see what happens. Give it a go.
I think what would be interesting is if eBay took their own platform and separated the collectible space and just made an eBay collectibles market space and adjusted their fees there for it to make it, you know, more reasonable, I guess. But then at the same time, you have to wonder how much loss would that be with the volume they do? Would it even would it increase their volume, or how much would they lose? I
Well,
would
going
say
back to
they
your
would.
question from earlier, going back to your scenario though from Mercari, here's one of the things that maybe, and the irony is it kind of works in reverse here, where you keep increasing the final value fee and you've made it go up over time. You kind of remove the listing fee. You know, not completely, but like there's scenarios like, you know, if you're a regular seller, you get a certain amount of free listings per month and it
Mhm.
rotates through and you can have that. If you're a power, you know, if you're different categories of stores, you get a certain amount of listing, X number of listings, whatever. And you get certain discounts on certain things, but you don't really have a listing fee. What's funny though is we talk about how many listings there are on eBay. Well, how many listings though are dead listings? How many listings are like, yeah,
Tons.
you're just listing exactly. Now imagine if you basically said like, look, we'll give you a better final value fee, but there's going to be an insertion fee. But the insertion fee is going to be adjusted as such where like, no, you better be listing something you actually intend to sell and price to sell, because your goal is
Well,
to actually sell it rather than just list it for the rest of time.
real quick, just so the commenters don't roast you over the coals here, there is an insertion fee even with the store and everything.
No, I know that.
There's just
Look, but
there's
I'm aware of that.
okay. The
Yeah.
way you had said it, like there's no
No,
listing
no. What I'm getting
yeah.
at though is that right now there's ways around that. Like even for example, the amount of free listings, the insertion fee is negated. If it's not selling, I've got a certain amount that can just rotate. I can list something right now and I don't get charged unless the thing sells.
Oh
And I
yeah,
get a
yeah.
certain amount of free listings. So it's not an automatic insertion fee every single time whether it sells or not. That's what I'm getting at.
I have a store with enough available listings that I actually go through on occasion, and I will end a large portion of my listings, adjust the listing
Mhm.
title, you
Yeah.
know, price, whatever, do sell similar on them all. So it's then creating all of them listings new. But I have a store set up large enough that I'm able to do that and not have to worry about getting charged anything with it
Yeah. That's what I'm
because of
getting at.
that reason. Yeah.
Correct. So what I'm suggesting here is, would you see as many lists? So I'll give you an example. Here's a fun example, Eric, that plays into something that we joke about here. The infamous Chosen Rosen PC. There's a
Mm.
seller that's based in Canada that has some of high-end Josh Rosen cards. Believe it or not, is such a thing. But the thing is, they're listing them like they are like he's still playing. The
Uh-huh.
price point on all of them are still sitting there. I'm like, no, why?
Yeah.
And I'm literally, and I see the listing. I'm sitting there like, why you do this? Like, why would you? And the thing is, there's no punishment for it because realistically, they can just keep, and it keeps relisting and rotating through. And I'll sit there and look at it and go like, so you want $500 for this card? I could probably buy Josh Rosen for $500,
Yeah.
and he'll come to my house and like clean my living room and wash my car, and like that's what I'm getting for $500, not a card. So, but my point is though, there's no punishment. But what if I charged you $4 every time? Okay, fine. You want to relist it? It's $4 every time. You're wasting $4 every single 30 days that keeps getting relisted. Well, oh, that's just $4. Well, in a year, that's $48. There's 10% of your dream $500 just disappeared, and you're never going to sell the damn thing at that price. So maybe price it at a legitimate price that could actually sell, or put it up for auction and be done with it. And what the market
Yep.
does, the market does. You get my point that I'm getting at here? You would have way less listings though, because there's a bunch of listings that have no chance of ever selling in this or any other lifetime. And they're there every month and it just rotates through. So when you look and you see millions of listings, I'd be curious how many listings would qualify as there's no chance in hell this is ever going to sell. None.
A lot.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The number would suddenly shrink by quite a bit if I took those off the board and go, well, look, here's the thing. I'm actually going to charge you the insertion fee for this. If it sells, it sells. But if you just want to keep relisting it for fun, I'll charge you for the privilege. You want to keep doing it? Go ahead. You can list it here as long as you like. As long as you keep paying the fee every single 30 days. Or whatever it is. Or if it's an auction, it's like 7-day auction and you keep having to relist it. Well, Eric, I'm going to charge you $3 every time. You can pay $12 a month for the privilege of listing the same thing over and over and over again that never sells. You can do this as long as you like.
That's not good maths.
Yeah. Eventually it actually starts costing you because you can add up these little fees over and over again. That's why I say, like, look, I'll see. For me, I'd be curious but regardless, the eBay model is working well enough for them. They're obviously making money, so no questions on that. But I'm just wondering if there aren't some ways, again, just having millions of listings though, doesn't impress me for the reason that I just outlined. Because some of these auctions legitimately aren't going to go anywhere. Or some of the buy now best offers where you're like, no, this is just a museum piece. Like you actually have no intention of selling this. Not at that price point. It's not going to happen.
So here's something, and this number is going to be, it revolves a lot. But eBay actually has a thing on here that if you want to dive in deep, like sourcing insights and stuff, and for trading card singles and sports trading cards. So just that, and remember, this number is actively changing constantly. But active listings right now, there is 89,918,362 active listings.
Yep.
The search volume for trading cards, singles is 36,530,361. So you have a search to listing ratio of 0.41 and the sell-through rate is 3.44%. So a lot of stuff that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
You're not even getting the search volume. Like, for comparison, something else you like, watches. There's 3.3 million active listings in watches, but the search volume is 10.6 million. So you're getting 3 times the amount of searches as there are listings, where in cards, you're getting 0.4. You're getting not even 100% volume. You're getting 40%, 41% volume of your search to listed ratio. So there's 59% of shit that's not even searched. So
yep. So that's why I say, like, it's more of an intellectual exercise. We have no idea, like, we don't know, but I'm just saying that there is stuff there. Again, I can just take the raw number and say, so going back to kind of the Probstein thing, all the consigners actually want to sell the shit. We can point out the issue regarding shill bidding and all that, which is part of it, but eBay has a role to play in this too, because at the end of the day, eBay could do some things that would make shill bidding harder, or make it easier to detect, or make it give information that would help with that. In theory, you would think, oh, well, you guys should be incentivized, because if you actually sell it and it actually gets paid for, then you get the fees. So shouldn't you want the thing? I don't care if it's listed. If the auction ends at $1 million, if nobody ever pays for it, you never get a dime. So what's the point?
It's about making money.
Yeah, if that's the goal, though, I actually want the person at the end to pay, because if they pay, then I get the fees on the as a percentage of the actual payment. That's supposed to be where the money's coming from. Eric, it's where the money's supposed to be coming from.
Show me the money.
Indeed. So yeah, just some stuff to think about. Again, at the end of the day, not a big story, but just worthwhile at least noting it. One last thing I was going to mention, actually, real quick, related to it, since it's still peripherally related to it. I did win one of the auctions that I won. I did win from Slab Sharks, actually. It wasn't the ones I showcased here, but it was a different thing. One of the things that a lot of people were kind of asking about, it was funny because I was watching the Gong Show Slab Sharks auction. But one of the things is with the Slab Sharks, a lot of people in that comment section in the chat were actually asking about it. Like, oh, obviously, we didn't spend much time talking about it here, but we talked about it on the Friday live stream. the Canada Post thing. And I said, obviously that's, that's slowing things down because then you can't ship anything unless you use one of the alternatives. Well, Slab Sharks is obviously a consigner here in Canada. So they've got all those auctions. People are like, well, are they going to be able to get me my stuff? So I got a notification from Slab Sharks for the thing that I won. And they said, yep, your stuff's on the way. Here's your tracking number, whatever. They're using chit chats, which I've talked about before with Bobby in the past on the live stream. The point is that right now, because Canada Post has its stuff that's going on with, there's a lot of these third-party fulfillment and courier services and such that are going to get to make some money off of this. Because there's still ways to get things from point A to point B. It just means that these other companies are going to get a chance to step in and grab the money that's sitting on the ground right now. And they are indeed doing that. So right now, as we speak, I have a tracking number for my package. I'll report back my findings on it. But the point is now they're utilizing alternatives. So the point is sellers can still get their stuff from point A to point B if they really want to. And there's alternative options. Couriers are, of course, options. Those are still active. Amazon will still get its package to me one way or the other. They don't care. Canada Post is not a concern of theirs. So clearly some sellers know what to do. So it's just about adjusting. Funny how that works. They seem to find a way somehow, Brandon. When there's money to be made, they find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought something several months ago. I told you guys, and it was shipped with that chit chat, and it actually came relatively quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. They utilize different couriers. In some cases, they literally walk it across. I believe they literally walk it across the board and give it to USPS. And then there you go. And your tracking number. So here's your tracking number. Here's all this. From your perspective, you got your stuff, right? All good? Mm-hmm. So that's all you care about. As the buyer, Eric, you just care about getting your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
As long as you get your stuff on time, and the shipping rate was reasonable enough, then great. Win-win. I don't care how you do it. I just care that you get the package into my hands.
Yes.
That's the only part that matters. So people will find a way. But I just thought it was funny that I got it. And they confirmed it was chit chats that they're using for that one. Not surprised. And chit chats themselves are using other third parties that are taking care of it, different ones depending on the part of the country. So I just thought it was interesting that that's right now. So what's funny is, sadly for the Canada Post folks, their leverage isn't going to be very strong. So I wish them luck. Again, I can sympathize with their position, but it's really hard because the majority of people just aren't getting enough stuff. And this was one quick aside that I'll finish off with. What made me laugh, Brandon, obviously you guys, we're close enough now to Expo that it makes more sense for me to just hold on to these cards for you guys and just hand deliver them. So it just makes more sense. Yeah. But you know what's sad? And this used to be, Eric, one of my favorite things, and I grabbed this just for this point. You know what used to be one of my favorite things that worked really well? I used to have, obviously, I was in different trading groups, and a bunch of them were with U.S. folks, and obviously in Canada, but we would send stuff back and forth. But the way we used to do it is we'd have an envelope like this, one of these deals, and if the stuff you're sending is not expensive, and this is ye olden days, it's late 90s, early 2000s, and this worked brilliantly, and it was very easy. You took these envelopes, and you'd grab the 9 pocket pages, because a lot of us had a bunch of extras. You cut the 9 pocket pages. You got the 3 slots in there. If this is not expensive stuff, you could put like 3, 6, or 9. Boom, throw it right in here. Slap a couple of stamps on it and be done with it. You don't have to fill in customs. This is letter mail. You don't have to fill in customs paperwork. I just got to put enough stamps on it to send it, and they could send it to me in that format, and I could send it down there, and they would get their stuff, and it was all good.
Yeah, as long as the stuff isn't considered to be, too expensive, I don't have a problem with getting mail like that.
Yeah, that's what would happen, especially when you'd send a couple of base cards or something and expect, like, it made way more sense to just be like, I'll just throw it in here and you get your stuff, and it was good enough. And through letter mail, a couple stamps on there. There you go. There's your stuff.
Yeah, I've never been upset because this should be in a bubble mailer with 2 big thick things of cardboard and blue tape and tracking, and it's like, no, the card's $5. I want to pay $1 shipping. Just put it in an envelope and send it to me in a plastic. Just keep it simple, stupid. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Some people aren't. Some people get pissed.
Well, so I think that's what created a lot of the issue with it, is that a lot of people lost their minds over it. Again, as long as you're only sending a handful of cards, it actually worked pretty well. Again, low value stuff. We're talking about like the for the US, you've got the eBay standard envelope. That's basically what we're talking about. Effectively that, but that's what, before eBay standard envelope, that's what it was. It was literally a plain white envelope. You throw a couple of stuff in, you put a piece of paper with a quick note on it, boom, just tape it all together. And again, as long as it's not too heavy, as long as it's not too thick, and it just allowed you to have a couple of stamps on there. Where I was sending stuff stateside all the time, no problem. I'd have a stack of envelopes just like that, boom, and vice versa. And I would get that back in the mail. Back when I used to actually get mail on a regular basis.
No custom forms, no taxes, no this, no that. You just throw some stamps on it, send it on its way. That's how it
Shockingly, they didn't care so much about our, base cards that we were sending back and forth, like a handful of them. They didn't care that. Like,
No.
If you guys really want me to pay customs on $2, you're more than welcome to come by and collect. Like it's like $2. That's what those are worth. So again, ye olden days. So there you go. Anyway, anything else that we want to touch on, or is that pretty much cover everything, I think, for this week?
I think we hit everything.
Beautiful, beautiful. So include your congratulations in the comments section for Brandon and his Michael Taylor Swan Song. Good story on that one, so you can include that on there. Also, keep an eye out for the new snype, where you'll see the Michael Taylor autograph superfractor, because obviously that's where it's going to be.
I'm going to be very excited if that happens.
It's going to be very exciting, and Eric and I will be there in the watch along going, yes, let's go. Snipe with a Y. Eric, if Probstein cut the check, would you overcome your moral oppositions? How many zeros are on that check? Wait, what are you talking about?
Zeros. We'd have to discuss it, and there'd have to be a lot of zeros to help me sleep at night.
And like, Eric, how many chocolate sticks can you buy with this? He's like,
oh boy,
I don't know. Just saying. Anyway. The post for the silly card of the week will be up this week, so you guys will be able to check that out. Feel free, vote early, vote often. If you got any comments or thoughts on anything else we talked about, feel free to include that on there. We do read the comments in the following episode, so we've got that on there. And then check out AMG. All the links are in the description. You can check that out. And like I said, this week, probably won't no podcast for this week for those guys. Maybe a video if I can come up with something. Next week, though, back on the regular schedule. We'll be back for episode 99 and episode 100. And I want to see if maybe we can do something special for that. But let me talk with the guys and we'll see what we come up with as far as that's concerned. Other than that, that's it. Eric Sanderson or in the Cave of Crap. He's got the lemons. Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards, known associated 540 flips. Michael Taylor, super collector. And future bidder on Snipe with a Y. We'll see. We'll find out. You never know. We'll see. More videos coming up on the channel and live streams on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The longest running episodic, whatever it is. This past week, we went into deep waters because we got Florida Man on, and it went 6 hours plus. We went old school on that one. He was talking about aliens. And by the way, don't listen to Ham. Don't listen to Florida Man. He was trying to throw us off the scent of Skynet. He's trying to tell us not to worry about AI. That's exactly what AI would tell us to do.
I'm glad I went to bed.
Don't trust that. The AI are out to get us. Just telling you right now. Beep boop.
Beep boop.
Watch out. Watch out. Anyway, that's it for this one. Catch you in the next one.